Hello and welcome to the world of Barbie doll collecting. In this magical world, you can join with thousands of others who are enjoying the fun and friendship of collecting the Barbie doll. Whether you're a fan of Barbie, Midge, Skipper, Francie, or Ken dolls, accessories, or fashions, the family of Barbie doll items is diverse. As many of you know, some Barbie doll collections can grow in value not just emotionally, but financially as well. Now, not everything you collect will go up in value, but with a little study and a bit of help from some experienced hands, you can get started in this magical world, a world that can transport you back in an instant to warm and tender moments in your life. In the next 20 minutes, you will meet some of the most prominent collectors and professional Barbie doll dealers in the country. We spoke with them at the annual Barbie convention in Baltimore, Maryland. There, collectors and dealers from around the world came together to trade and hunt for the perfect item to add to their collections and to compete for prizes for the most beautiful vintage dolls. We asked questions many beginning collectors might ask and learned a few tips some of you more experienced collectors might like to know as well. As with all of us, every collector begins somewhere.
I started collecting about 14 years ago through the influence of my daughter. She played with Barbie from the very, very young age. I would say from age 3 when she was able to hold a doll in her hand. And as time progressed, she talked me into collecting Barbie dolls, and through collecting Barbie dolls and amassing a nice size collection, I thought it was time for me to share what I had learned with other people.
We started our collection with a purchase for about $35, which was the Christmas Barbie Lisa spoke about. I think our second purchase was about $25, and I think we owned probably 25 or more dolls, and we hadn't spent $1,000.
I told him that I have no hobby at all right now, and then also I said I used to collect Barbies back in my childhood, and he said Barbie collection is a big hobby in the States, so he suggested me to start collecting Barbies since I fly to the States all the time. That's how I started.
If you're a new collector, I would advise getting to know an old collector who's been looking at these dolls for many, many years and who is willing to advise you, perhaps, and help you.
What happened about 5 years ago is a lot of baby boomers came into it. A lot of people in that 30 to 40-year-old range who either had them as a kid, wanted them as a kid, and wasn't allowed to have them. And it's changed it. It's become a much more professional type hobby. We have professionally run, or seemingly professionally run, conventions every year around the country. We have our own Slick magazine. It's much easier to collect now than it was, say, 5 years ago. It's a journey with a map at this point. A good place to start is a general doll show, which are usually advertised in the classified sections of newspapers, back in the antiques and flea market sections. Scope it out, buy all the reference books you can, buy magazines. There are a lot of periodicals now. There's Miller's Price Guide, there's Barbie Bazaar, there's a classified newspaper called Collectors United. And just send for lists, look at stuff, compare prices, and wait a couple months before you jump in.
Issued from 1959 through 1976. And they're in detail. The beauty of the dolls themselves are detailed quite well. This is how people could learn more about Barbie. Maybe if they would buy a book or a magazine where these pictures might appear, then they would know more about the doll, and then they can go looking for it.
There were lots of wonderful books on the market about the dolls, but no one had really done anything comprehensive on the clothing. And that had been one of the aspects of Barbie that especially attracted me to her. So I wanted to put that in a book form for collectors to be able to use, and I wanted it for new collectors as well as experienced collectors so that they could identify the hard-to-find pieces. I know some outfits I've had to put together one piece at a time, literally, and you need to know what they look like, what accessories are appropriate, and we did it in full color so that they could have a real good, accurate guide piece.
We do a nationwide survey of dealers and collectors, and we try and talk to at least 100 people, realizing we can't get every price from every person. We sometimes have to make several phone calls to get a representative sample, and then we'll take an average or a median price.
It contains really helpful educational articles We try to provide really nice, clear photography so that it really gives them a clear idea of what they're supposed to be looking at and looking for. You know, if you pick up an item, say at a show or a garage sale, you want to do a quick check to your price guide, you can, and the pictures speak for themselves. And newer dolls as well. We like to show people what is coming out in the market, a list of the store exclusives available and some of the things to watch for, fashions and all of the components of each fashion, all the accessories, and a nice advertiser's yellow pages section where you can buy dolls, and a show calendar of the upcoming events.
And we're a bi-monthly collector's magazine, and we're geared to the Barbie collector. We have classified ads on the back of the magazine, and they can buy and sell in the classified ads. They can also list their wants so that other collectors can contact them. It's a challenge, but we cover the whole arena of Barbie collecting. We have a section in the magazine called Hotline, and we get information from Mattel on the new dolls that are coming out. For example, in our current issue, the Hallmark ornaments in there, and the new doll that's the second doll in the Presidential Porcelain series. So collectors get to see what's going to be on the market before it's even on the market.
There's yard sales, flea markets. I have picked up a brownette bubble cut, which is one of the rarest bubble cuts there are in hair color. I got her for $25, and she's worth $350. What a collector should look out for more than anything is quality, and that is either never removed from the package or crisp and mint out of the package. And that can't always be possible, but I would say look for that first, because that means so much as far as the value is concerned.
NRFB is never removed from box. That means it's pretty certain the thing has never been taken out simply because there's a cellophane factory seal on it. And you can reseal it, but usually you can tell if the cellophane is old and has been there since the dawn of time. There's also mint in the box, which means maybe it was taken out, maybe the lid was lifted, but nothing happened that changed the doll in any way from the time it came out of the factory other than just removing the lid or cracking the cellophane. Some people use the term remove for display only, which lets you know that an adult or someone careful took the doll out, very carefully put it up on a shelf, and put it back in the box in the same condition with the same accessories as when it went in the factory.
If they're going to collect, first of all, it's good that it would be nice if they would go from show to show. There are doll shows where they could look at the Barbie dolls and see what they might like to collect where it comes to vintage Barbies. It's very easy to know what you're going to want if you go through Toys R Us or any of the new stores or FAO Schwartz, or there are different Barbies sold throughout different areas. And they should actually examine the dolls and see which one appeals to them the most, and then start collecting from there.
Nothing is one of a kind. You'll see everything at least once again. And if you rush right in, you can make a lot of mistakes. So start off by just trying to get an understanding for the items you like, and then go ahead and buy them.
For some reason, when collectors sort of come in a few years later into the hobby, they very much want to get the whole thing. That's what collecting's about anyway. It's getting everything of one type. So this one, the Benefit Ball, the Redhead, which was the first one that Carol Spencer did, will probably in a year start really going up in value. And then the other dolls that came after it will trail, but their values will rise as well. And that's true actually of anything that Mattel comes out with for the collector.
You can never go wrong if you buy a doll you like. If you buy it for investment, sometimes you can be disappointed if it doesn't go up like other dolls. But if you buy it because you like it, you'll never be disappointed. There is no complete collection. And I just fully am convinced of that. There's no one individual who could ever say, I have everything. If they say that, they're naive. So I've been collecting avidly all these years, and I still see things, and vintage things for that matter, that I have never seen before. And you have to consider the variety of items in other countries, that it's just limitless, which is good in that there's always something new, there's something exciting, whether it's what's on the shelves today or maybe a licensed product from the 60s. So there's no complete collection, but I have tried to make mine as complete as possible.
It's an investment. Be real honest with you. I mean, you should buy what you like, but there's nothing wrong with a little gambling here and there either. I mean, everybody does it. Why not do it with dolls and have something you can really enjoy? You can still look at it even if it's in the package. You can take the box off or you can look at it through the cellophane. It doesn't matter. And really, Barbie dolls are so collectible. It's better than the stock market. The stock market crashes, what do you have? Nothing. At least you have your beautiful dolls.
I think lots of people collect what they played with as a child. You'll see older ladies, for example, who may collect the composition period because they had a Shirley Temple that was precious to them as a child, and they have those warm, fuzzy memories of that childhood experience. And I think Barbie, for me, was the doll of my childhood, and that's why she's special to me now. I think it's always interesting at doll shows or any events, even if a woman is bringing her child to look at the Barbies. She all of a sudden becomes really involved in what she had as a child. And I had this, this brings back memories. I remember saving my allowance for this outfit.
8 years ago, when I first got into it, the things that was most popular were the really early outfits. And 8 years later, I see mod era fashions. Mod meaning, from 67 to 72, that era. The way I figure is it's the people that played with the dolls as children want them back. So 5 years from now, I figure that Malibus and the early 70s stuff, mid-70s stuff is going to be hot. That's just a prediction.
The early Barbies, of course, are very, very hot. The ones, the twos, the threes, the ponytails. And the American Girls, the first bendable leg Barbie is really, really a good investment. It's a good seller. It just keeps escalating every year, being, worth more and more. And I think looking in the future, the twists and turns are just starting to go up in value. And as the children grow up, they're going to want what they had when they were kids. And this is what, really makes Barbie hot, because everybody has a Barbie. And so when they get into that collecting age, they want to get what they had when they were a kid. It brings back the warm fuzzies, is what I call it.
I think if you've handled enough of the originals, then you sort of get an eye for what is real and what isn't. And most of the time, you can tell. But there are artists out there that are fantastic, unbelievable, that can reroute hair and repaint dolls, and it can fool sometimes some of the best people.
And the best information I can give any new doll collector are get the books and study. People who've been in it for 22 years can be taken. So the best thing to do first is spend the money on the books and research.
A lot of times you get what you pay for. Mm-hmm. Deal with somebody that's reputable and stick with that person. Find someone that you trust. If you pay a little bit more from a reputable dealer, you'll always have the assurance that it's not a fake. I mean, if somebody came to me and said, I bought this, I'm displeased with it, I would take it back. Definitely.
Restoration. It's controversial right now. A lot of people don't like it because, A, they feel you're sort of monkeying around with a work of art. It's not. It was a toy. It's meant to be enjoyed. And if adults can enjoy it now with a little bit of lip paint or a little bit of hair rerouted, I think that's okay as long as it's labeled as such when it's sold.
I personally like the older dolls the way they were. I personally don't like them retouched, redone. To me, it detracts from the beauty of the doll. I would rather have the original Barbie as she was, as I remembered her.
If I can hide the flaw, I can live with it. Yeah, I collect them just purely to display. I like to window dress with them. I have cases and I put them on the shelves and pose their little bodies around as if you were displaying mannequins in a department store window, and then I leave them alone. So If I can get it a little bit cheaper and because there is a flaw that I can cover up, that's fine with me.
I'm a collector who just does not like to do any repaints or retouches or anything to my doll. I want everything original. Even if it's not absolutely perfect, I do want it original and authentic.
If you don't like the doll, I think you should get it fixed up. If it doesn't have any lips, get some lips on it. Send it to an artist or somebody who you know can do a good job, or learn how to do it yourself. And, make it look pretty. That's what Barbie is.
The good thing about restoration is that it keeps the price of everything down. If people only wanted perfect dolls that had somehow gone through 30 years of being in toy chests and garages and basements and all that sort of thing, there'd be very few of those around, and the demand would be enormous, and the price would just go through the roof. So, in a sense, it helps those people that only want perfect dolls, and it makes collecting affordable for everybody.
I know I can always sell it. It's finding it that it's interesting. It's a treasure. It's like you open up the case and you don't know, is this going to be a bunch of played with homemade items that really have no value to a collector, or is it going to be, Roman holiday complete with a compact, which is, really rare. So, yeah, I like buying. I love the hunt.
I was fortunate enough a few years back to have a friend that would shop the antique stores, and she went primarily to find dolls for herself, but whenever she would find a Barbie, she would call me up and tell me what she'd found and send it to me. We bought this one, a blonde and a brunette, and long since found out that they're very, very valuable and they're very rare. And as I said, the redhead is the one and only. And of course, we have her in the vault in the bank, because as far as I'm concerned, she's worth more to me than a 10-carat diamond.
A lady called, she said, I have this mink coat for Barbie, and I thought, oh, sure you do. It's probably this white rabbit fur stole, which a lot of people confuse, but this was actually genuine mink. And I met her at my shop, and it was the real thing, and she says, well, what will you pay for this? And I told her, and she was just like in tears. I mean, $20 would have sufficed this woman, but it was several hundred that I paid for the thing, and she was, that was probably one of the more memorable acquisitions.
You'll find hymns that were sewn by hand. Some of the sweaters have sleeves sewn in by hand. Tiny, tiny Barbie scale buttons, which of course would be a safety issue probably today, and are not used. Plus the dexterity it took and the hours that it might take to put on a single Barbie outfit, which was fine for the child, but probably today it's not really practical. But the clothing pieces were labeled with a wonderful woven Barbie label. Details abounded, zippers as well as those tiny buttons which had a specific mark of YKK on the little pull. Barbie had even, which is unimaginable, left and right shoes. She had pairs. They weren't interchangeable. Just minute details and fabulous accessories to go with each of the outfits.
When you purchased your first Barbie doll, you entered the world of Barbie doll collecting. There are numerous Barbie clubs and doll shows around the country, and with telephones and fax machines, you can meet and correspond with a knowledgeable dealer at any time. And by the way, all of the publications and books mentioned here are listed at the end of the tape. Remember, collecting in the world of the Barbie doll is a rewarding and fun experience for anyone at any age. Whether you have just one or 100 Barbie dolls in your collection, you will enjoy the spark of Barbie for a lifetime.